How to load and unload racks safely. Lumber racks are comprised of uprights, support arms, and X-braces. The lumber and plywood racks at Valley Box are bolted to the ground and designed to stack 4 units high. Only the heavy-duty forklifts are to be used to load and unload lumber. Only light-duty forklifts are to be used to load and unload the plywood. For both the plywood and lumber racks, always keep 1 unit loaded at the bottom to keep the rack balanced. If the bottom arms are empty, move a unit from the uppermost position and place it the bottom position. Never allow only 1 unit on the top rack. Never place lumber longer than 18 feet on the top rack. Loading and unloading is always a 2-man job. There needs to be 1 spotter and 1 forklift operator. Both the spotter and forklift operator need to be sure the area in front of the rack is clear to allow adequate space for forklift maneuvering. Both the spotter and forklift operator need to be familiar with the clearance on the back side of the different racks. There will be a cement wall, metal building, or a chain link fence behind the rack. Before loading, the forklift operator may need to adjust the tine width to avoid contact with the rear X-braces or the arms. Then ensure the load is positioned in a way to prevent the ends of the tines from contacting the rear wall. Positioning will vary based on the forklift and load type. When loading, the forklift operator should approach the rack with a lowered load. It's important to approach the rack with the load centered, as side shifting may not be possible due to a conflict with the rear X-brace or arms. When the operator is directly in front of the rack, they can begin to raise the mast. Once the load is positioned in front of the arms, the operator may need to use the tilt function while driving forward to place the load on the angled arms. The forklift operator must move slowly and carefully and avoid slamming the unit into the rear uprights. After the operator has lowered the mast and the load is resting securely on the arms, the operator must back away from the rack and lower the tines. When unloading a rack, the forklift operator must approach the center of the load, as positioned on the rack. When slowly moving forward to place tines under the load, the operator must be mindful of the tine tips not contacting the rear wall, X-braces, or arms. When raising the mast to pick up the load, be sure the tines are not lifting the arms or X-braces, which can cause damage to the rack, the forklift, or lead to serious injury to the operator. When the load is supported on the tines, the operator must back away from the rack without steering or turning the forklift and lower the load. Never drive or turn the forklift with the load elevated. Only once the load is lowered is the operator allowed to steer or reposition the load. When driving and traveling with a full load, ensure the load is positioned against the backstop and carried low. Remember to move slowly and with caution to avoid accidents.